green colored lines, which resulted in widespread HIV/AIDS and other sexually transmitted diseases. This can of course eventually lead to further illness and death of thousands of women and girls, unquote. Secondly, there must be a witness protection unit in the War Crimes Prosecutor's Office to protect those who testify. About Sri Lanka, it says the committee remains deeply, I'm quoting, the committee remains deeply concerned about reports of gross violations of human rights of women on both sides, particularly the Tamil minority group, the internal displaced women and the female ex-combatants, unquote. Secondly, the committee is particularly concerned about the reports of sexual violence allegedly perpetrated also by the armed forces, the police and militant groups, unquote. Finally, the Women's Committee discusses in our concluding observation on Sri Lanka about internal displacement. Internal displacement is discussed in a lengthy manner rather than going to sexual violence. Also, I focused on other treaty-based committees' concluding observations on Sri Lanka. Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, the Race Committee, Committee Against Torture, and Human Rights Committee on Sri Lanka. In their concluding reports on Sri Lanka, it neither mentions that sexual violence used as a weapon in war in Sri Lanka, nor it does contain any similar findings on sexual violence, rape, or other sexual violence crimes. No extensive allegations on women's rights violations in the conflict situation. On 3 of these committees' concluding observations, we cannot find that sexual violence used as a weapon in war. Now I am coming to the controversial Darusman report. The report of the Secretary General's Panel of Experts on Accountability in Sri Lanka 2011, we commonly know as Darusman report. The allegations on it were mainly based on highly controversial Channel 4 video, right? Allegations are directed to the government forces on the possible sexual violence and rape against LTTE women soldiers. Right, I would like to draw your attention to this red highlight line. So, possible sexual violence, and finally it says violations of right to health against lactating mothers and violations of right of internally displaced women. Now I am coming to the conclusion. Here you can see the different situations in Rwanda and Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, first I come to Rwanda. Sexual violence used as a method of warfare in their genocidal rape, right? And there were incidents of internal displacement as well. When it comes to Sri Lanka, even the most controversial Darusman report has no mention that rape and sexual violence used as a weapon in war. Right? No mention by UN treaty-based committees that sexual violence used as a weapon in war in Sri Lankan conflicts against Sri Lankan women or Tamil minority Sri Lankan women. But there were many instances and many places in which they discuss and they put fingers on us. On Sri Lanka about internal displacement as a major women's rights violation during the Sri Lankan conflict. Thanks.